What's going on with y'all, family? Back with another message, back with another video. Y'all type in, tune in, lock in, hit subscribe. Smash that like button if you haven't already. Hit the notification bell. I thank you guys for 15,000 subscribers. As you can see, this is just a more real, raw video. It might be all over the place, but I woke up and as I was in prayer today, God just wanted me to come on here and share my testimony, just certain pieces of my testimony. A lot of people are new to the channel, haven't been with me since, the very beginning of the start of all this. So I just kind of want to give a testimony out about, my first time really encountering God and, how he called me to move away from my hometown and the circumstances. And I just want to give glory up to him today, and I want you guys to understand a little bit more about my backstory, with following Christ in my life. So pretty much, for those who are new, I know a lot of you guys tapped into the Q&A, and if you didn't, though, this video's for you. So pretty much, I grew up only child. Father passed away when I was 12. He was a truck driver. He was on the road. My parents were divorced at the age of 8. You know what I mean? Household was soon after my father passed, it got really bad. But after the divorce, my house became very toxic, a very toxic environment. Drugs, just a lot of bad stuff going on, to say the least. So as time went on, as I got older, we ended up losing the house. My mom lost the house. She lost her job, not able to pay the rent. And we became homeless at the age of 18 years old. Shortly after, I met, somebody online, and we had a child together when I was 19 years old. And at this time, I was not a believer. I was introduced to God through a friend. Early on, I went to church a few times. I actually lived with him as well when things got very toxic in my household. I went and moved in with him and his family when I was like 16, 17 years old. That's when I really began to learn about God, but I was still rebellious. I was angry. I was mad. I didn't want to, believe. I wasn't able to wrap my mind around all that stuff because I was still going through so much pain from my father and my mom being on drugs and all this stuff going on. So fast forward, I ended up having a child, and I have my own little place and I'm raising her. And, I'm still dealing with a lot of dark stuff around me. I'm dealing with a lot of doors that I opened up in my life, to sin, to demonic things. I tried to pretty much become famous as an artist when I was younger, and I didn't know what I was doing. I just, was desperate, and I kind of did a little bit of research, and I did some really stupid things and opened up some really dark doors in my life. So I had to pay, for all of that. And I was being tormented by demonic things. I was being tormented by, narcissists who are around me, spiritual folks who were evil, who were cruel, causing me to deal with certain things like the spirit of suicide. I was consumed in my lust. I was drinking alcohol every night, smoking weed every day. And I was dealing with, very, very, very scary things, to say the least, right? I was actually pretty much at one point in my life, I believe I was possessed, by certain demonic spirits. Satan himself, I had multiple conversations with these demonic things that would enter into my household. And, at the age of 23, I believe I was 23 or 22, one of those. There was just one night in my house where I watched a testimony video, right? I was on YouTube, and I watched a testimony video of this kid, he was probably 15 years old, speaking about how he went to hell. And for whatever reason, it just hit me the right way. It just kind of, at that moment in time, I don't know what it was, but it just kind of got to me, right? And, I didn't really think too deep into it, but it kind of made me, question some things. And I kind of started feeling a little bit of fear, and I kind of started, just feeling things I wasn't used to feeling when it came to hearing about God, right? And I think it was about 2:30 in the morning. I walked into my living room, and all I could say was I seen this light, right? And it sounds kind of like a fairy tale story or something, but I'm not one to make this stuff up. You know, it's kind of like a light presence in my house that I wasn't used to seeing or feeling. I was used to these dark, cold presences being in my house, these demonic entities that I pretty much was accepting at that point in my life. You know, I was just kind of making it as normal, that it was something that I was dealing with. But I felt this light presence come into my house, and I was overwhelmed, like, with just peace and love and fear at the same time. That's the only way I can put it, right? And sorry for, you know, I'm just waking up. I'm trying to get this out as best as I can and as real as I can. I don't like to, you know, fake anything or drinking coffee, man. It's early. But yeah, I felt this overwhelming presence, man. I just felt this overwhelming presence of God. And I didn't know it was him right away, but within, you know, the first minute, I realized what was going on, and I realized it was Christ, and I just knew it somehow in the depths of my soul, right? Like in the inner depths of me. And I buckled. Pretty much my body collapsed because it was so overwhelming what I was feeling. And I just couldn't say anything else besides help me, right? Because I was extremely, you know, like I said, I was potentially or possibly possessed even, or oppressed, whatever the case may be. And I just never felt those feelings for like in a very long time. I never felt that. So I just was saying, help me, help me, help me. That's all I could say, you know. And literally the next day I woke up and something just made me want to like flush all the weed I had. I dumped out the rest of the alcohol I had in my fridge, you know, and I wanted to, I just started getting a new hunger and craving for things that it was kind of just like overnight in a way where I was like, I just want to eat better. I want to clean my diet up. I want to stop living like this. I don't want to do this no more, you know. And I feel like that's when my first real encounter with God happened. So I was like 23, you know, and the more that I started to stand against my old ways, you know, things started coming back in my life. People would come around trying to offer me weed. You know, soon after I lost my house that I was in with my daughter, she went back with her mom. That's a whole nother testimony in itself. But I became homeless at 24, 23 years old again, you know, and I don't have much help in my life when it comes to my family side of things, when it comes to finances and stuff like that, you know. So I just was on this journey. It was early for me, and I was getting scared because there was a lot of stuff going on, right? The minute I repented, there were some things going, gangstalking started in my life, you know. I had some breaking and entering happen in my home. I've had, you know, some very crazy things that people won't believe me. You know, a lot of people won't believe if I told them, you know, and they haven't believed me since I've told them. But a lot of crazy stuff happened, you know, and I was kind of losing my mind. And I ended up getting, you know, since I was going through what I was going through with the whole suicidal stuff and everything that was just happening, man, I went and I ended up going to a mental hospital, right? And I submitted myself. I was convinced by family members that were around me to take myself to this mental hospital. So I ended up going there, and I already felt like I had God speaking to me so heavily at that time, even though I just encountered him like a month prior. And I was in the mental ward, and I was sitting in the waiting lounge, right? And like I said, I willingly walked in that place. But as I got out in the parking lot, it was like, I feel like it was God's presence telling me, leave, don't go in there. You don't need to do this, right? So I started to walk away, and these security guards came out from the doors, and they pretty much like grabbed me by my shoulders. They weren't like very forceful, but like they kind of hugged me or whatever and said, come on, you're coming with us, you're coming with us. And I'm like, no, I want to leave. You know, I'm not being taken here by, you know, an ambulance or cops or anything. I'm here on my own. So they pretty much convinced me to walk inside. I was in the waiting room, you know, and this is something that really started freaking me out is when I was in the waiting room, there was like this glass, you know what I'm like I don't know what you call it, the front desk or whatever. There was like this glass front desk, like where it had glass over it. And I was looking at this lady through the glass, and I seen, for my first time, I really think I seen like That was the first time my eyes were opened, I think, like completely. But I seen this demonic presence behind her, like this dark figure that was standing behind her, and it was tripping me out. It was freaking me out. At the time, you know, people wonder if I'm on drugs or anything. I've never been on hard drugs in my life. Okay, my family members were on those things, and I spoke out against those my whole life. But pretty much I saw this dark presence behind her. It was really like messing with me. And I was sitting there, and I'm in that freaking mental ward, right? And I'm like, and it's like super scary, guys. Like, if you guys don't know about these places, they don't even look like they're real places. They look like abandoned buildings a lot of the times, depending on the location. It was very scary. So I was feeling overwhelmed. And at the time, I was still a cigarette smoker. I was waiting in the lounge, and I wanted to have a cigarette. So I asked politely, and they told me no. And I said, I'm not going anywhere. You know, I'm not doing anything but sitting here waiting anyway. So I would like to have a cigarette. They told me no. So I ended up standing up. And I said, I'm gonna go have a cigarette. I said, you guys can come out there with me if you want, but I'm gonna go have a cigarette. And the minute I stood up, like 15 nurses from the back of the, you know, there was like the swing open doors. 15 nurses came storming out, and they picked me up by my hands, my legs, you know, and they took me to the back of the place, and they put me in this tiny little like 10 by 10 room. And they injected me with some kind of like needle, some green serum. That's all I could say. I don't know what it was, but they strapped me to the bed, all for me wanting to get up and have a cigarette and not listening, I guess. I'm an adult at the time, you know, mind you. And they inject me with this needle, and I start hallucinating. And I was looking at the walls, and the wall, like as I was like hallucinating, falling out of it from whatever they injected me with, I seen this war happening. Like, that's all I could describe it as. It was like this war that was going on. It was like a beach. And then, you know, I saw like a beach, and I saw ships coming on, and I saw like these angels above the ships, and I saw people getting off the ships. It was really crazy because it was all happening on the wall, you know, and I think it was like a side effect of whatever they injected me with. So I ended up passing out, you know, went unconscious for like 18 hours, and I woke up in all new clothes in a whole different part of the building around a bunch of different people. You know, it was very weird, very scary. It's something I reflect on to this day. I still don't know exactly what happened, you know, because I was put out. I was knocked out, and they changed my clothes for me and did all kinds of stuff, you know. So basically 3 days go by, I'm deemed as a schizophrenic. I'm deemed as all these other mental health issues, yada, yada. And they put me on prescription medication, you know. So I go back out. I get out, and I go, you know, I'm living in my car at the time, and I'm seeing, you know, different signs. Like, I'm finally really like, all right, God, I don't know what the heck is going on, right? But if you're real, and you know, you want me to follow you or do something in specific, and you know, I want to get to know you more. I want to understand what's going on in my life. Why is all this happening? Like I said, y'all just stick with me, all right? Because this is like real and raw, unedited. I'm like gonna be all over the place, try to sum all this up for you guys so you guys can understand. But at the time, you know, I have a 2001 Jeep. Actually, no, I have an Impala at this time, right? And this Impala is like falling apart on me. It's breaking down. It's like this little $2,000 Impala I had. So I end up getting help from a family relative to get another car, which is a Jeep, a 2001 Jeep. So I end up getting this Jeep. You know, it's not in the greatest condition. It's got, you know, high mileage on it, da-da-da. And I end up staying in this Jeep, right? I'm end up living in this Jeep. My mom's homeless, staying with her people, you know, and I didn't really want to be around that type of environment. You know, it was a lot of drug activity, stuff like that. So I'm living in my Jeep at this park, and I start to see, you know, I'm sharing stuff on YouTube at the time, right? And I'm like, I'm still not understanding what the heck is going on in my life. And I start seeing subtle signs like here and there, whether it's through, you know, like little coins that I had, like quarters, or billboards or license plates, or through the word of God, telling me that I need to move. I need to leave California. I need to leave. And I'm like, there's no way I can leave. I have no money. I live in a car. I have no help. My tires are going bald. Right. And as I share more on YouTube, I meet somebody from YouTube, right, online, and they begin to like help me financially. And then eventually we begin to speak. We begin to talk. You know, she wanted me to call her, and I ended up calling her, and we ended up talking for like 10 hours, sharing, you know, certain things that we've both been through. and she begins to help me with finances and stuff like that. You know what I mean? So that was my way out of California, and that was my confirmation to go, because I had no way of leaving, but I knew that God was tugging on me, right? And he was telling me for weeks, you know, various different ways and little strange ways to show me, like, I need you, I want you to leave California. And I felt it in my spirit a lot of the times. So one day I'm sitting at the park and I'm on the phone, we're talking, right? This is also my ex. For those who have been here, you guys have heard a couple things about, you know, that relationship, but this is my ex. And at the time, you know, she's like doing what she can for me and stuff like that. And I'm not asking her anything, it's just happening. And, you know, I ended up waking up one morning and I said, you know what, I'm just gonna go. You know, I had like $40 on me, and I had like half a tank of gas, $40 and bald tires. And I felt like God was just telling me, go cross the border. Like he just kept telling me, cross into Arizona, like get out of California. I promise it's all gonna work out, da da da. So that was my first time ever putting my faith into action and my trust in what I was hearing from God, right? So I ended up driving and leaving. I had no idea where I was going. I decided on, you know, randomly one night I decided, you know, after I left California, I spent a couple nights, you know, at rest areas, truck stops, sleeping in my car. I decided to end up going to Minnesota, right? For whatever reason, you know, I decided to go to Minnesota. So I ended up making it to Minnesota, getting a job there. I was working in a warehouse in Target. Making pretty decent money, and I was starting to begin to save up some funds for myself, you know. And at the time, you know, I'm learning more about God. You know, I'm reading the Bible for the first time. I'm praying. I'm starting to understand this stuff. You know, I'm being gang stalked and watched like crazy. You know, the harassment's out like just downright insanity, especially after I left California. But you know, I'm talking to this person, my ex. I don't want to really speak too much about that, but we're talking every night, reading the Bible together. You know, God used her in various different ways to get me to closer to him. So I'm thankful for that. But at the end of the day, you know what I mean? I'm reading and I'm praying every night, and I'm going through the motions. I'm working this job 3-4 days a week, 12-hour shifts. I'm trying to save some money up to get myself into an apartment. So eventually 6 months, 7 months goes by, or like 4 or 5 months goes by since I left California, you know, and I'm getting more in depth with God and understanding what all this stuff is and everything I've learned about the kingdom of darkness and how all of this stuff correlates to the Bible and da-da-da-da-da. And I'm working, and my ex ends up inviting me to come like meet her down in Florida. And she's like, I have an extra room. We can sleep in separate rooms, blah, 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 blah. And I'm super hesitant, mind you, right? You know, I'm working and I'm just trying to do my own thing and get my own stuff established. So it took some convincing, but I ended up quitting my job and I ended up leaving Minnesota and going down to Florida. And then I met my ex. You know, like I said, I don't want to talk too much about what happened with all that, but met her, you know, lived there for 2 years, working on and off, you know, really getting in relation with Christ, but also being, you know, narcissistically messed with at the same time, which is crazy. I know it's absurd, but it's really, you know, what was going on. You know, but that ends up, you know, being super shaky. You know, every other month she's breaking up with me, we're splitting apart, and I'm getting kicked out, and I'm having to sleep in my car for 3 nights, and then she invites me back and tells me she's sorry and all this other stuff. So one of these times where we had a big, you know, argument and fight and stuff happened, I ended up leaving the state of Florida, right? And I was driving, you know, just hurt, man, like upset, really hurt, just feeling crushed, you know, not understanding everything, still trying to develop in my relationship with God, you know. And then I'm in this relationship and she's kicking me out, and constantly every other week she's like hot and cold, wanting to come back, wanting to stay, wanting to go. So I ended up finally leaving, and I'm driving through the mountains of Illinois, right? I'm in like the foothills of Illinois, somewhere like southern Illinois. And you know, at the time I kind of skipped a few things. Like I said, my testimony's so long, y'all. I'm trying to just, if y'all are sticking with me through this video, I appreciate it, man. This is just real and raw. But I did, you know, I finally started getting like more victories in Christ over like the spirit of suicide that I was dealing with, right? Because it was something that was really heavy over me, you know. But after, you know, we broke up, for the 100th time or whatever, and I was in Illinois, I started getting really attacked. Suicidal thoughts came back, me wanting to drink alcohol. And so one night, like I said, I'm driving through the foothills of Illinois, and I'm just crying and stuff, and I'm not understanding what's going on, and I'm feeling suicidal again, and I'm wanting to drink, and I'm wanting to just end my life and get all of this crap just out of my, just out the way. It was too much pressure at the time for me. So I decide, like, you know what, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna go kill myself. Just keep it real with you guys, man. So I go to Walmart, I buy a bottle of alcohol, I buy a rope and a bucket, and I decide that I'm gonna go into this forest that's nearby, and I'm gonna hang myself, right? Just because of everything that I've experienced, and you know what I mean, just being attacked the way I was being attacked, and just everything in my life going left every single day. No matter how hard I tried, it just like people were just tossing me around, and the devil was just beating me up, man. And I wasn't fully, understanding spiritual warfare at the time or nothing like that. So I go to Walmart, leave Walmart, and I'm crying, and I'm talking to God, and I'm just telling him, like, it's over with. I don't want to do this no more. I'm sorry, blah, blah, blah. So as I'm driving, I'm trying to get a hold of my ex, because, like, I'm just overwhelmed in emotions, and she's just ignoring me. She, we split up like 4 days prior. She kicked me out. It was a constant, like I said, battle, hot and cold. She kicked me out and then apologized and tell me to come back, and then kick me out again, apologize and tell me to come back. So I'm trying to get a hold of her, and I'm looking down, and I'm on my way to this forest, and I look down at my phone literally for like 2 or 3 seconds, and as I look up, I'm airborne. My car is like completely in the air, and mind you, I'm doing like 55 miles an hour down this down a foothill of a mountain, right? And I end up flipping my Jeep 7 times. Didn't have a seatbelt on. I go like, I think the cops told me I went like 500 yards or something like that. I ended up landing in somebody's front yard. So I feel like this was God's way of protecting me, but still kind of punishing me at the same time, because I was on my way to go, harm myself. So I flipped my Jeep, and mind you, I live in this thing, right? I live in this Jeep. Sorry, there's a bug on me, yo. I live in this Jeep. Everything's in it, all my belongings. So I flip it 7 times. Windshield comes out. All the windows broken out. The top of the car's caved in. And I'm in shock. So I get out the vehicle, and I don't know how I even got out the vehicle still. I just did. But, and I'm in somebody's front yard, the only house on the mountainside. I ended up landing in the one front yard that was on the mountainside. There was no houses except for one, right? It was just this one house. I ended up landing in the front yard, and a guy on a bike, it was just crazy how God had everything set up. But a guy on a bike comes riding down the mountainside with his little light on, and I'm like, help. I'm just screaming, help, help, help. So he ends up calling the cops, and he goes and he rings the doorbell. The neighbors, I guess the neighbors didn't even hear me freaking flip my Jeep 7 times, because they didn't come out. I mean, not the neighbors, the people that own the house. So the cops come, I'm standing outside the vehicle, and the cops are looking at me like I'm a ghost when they get there. They don't understand how I'm standing up outside of the vehicle, right? I don't even understand it myself. But so I ended up going, they take me to the hospital. I end up finding out I have some broken ribs. That's about it though. So all praises and honor and glory goes to God for that, man, because it could have been way worse. It should have been way worse. I still don't understand how it wasn't, besides God's protection over my life. So I lose my vehicle, I lose everything, man. I'm homeless, I have broken ribs, and I get admitted in, and they release me at 6 o'clock in the morning. Okay, mind you, this happened around midnight. They released me at 6 o'clock in the morning. I'm in a foreign state, right? My car is somewhere in a tow yard, completely trashed and wrecked with all my belongings in it. And I get released from the hospital at 6 o'clock in the morning. And I had to, walk like 4.5 miles with broken ribs. And it was like, mind you, it was like a major thunderstorm that day. I was just going through it, y'all. But so I ended up getting some help, from the people I did have following me at the time on YouTube, with some money and stuff like that to get me into a room, a hotel, and it's just been crazy, y'all. Like, it's just crazy. I haven't really shared all of these little details and stuff like that, but then some things happened. God made some things happen for me, and I was able to get another car, and You know, finally, you know, me and my ex I was still dumb enough to go back to that, you know, over and over, even after all of that stuff happened. You know, we ended up getting back together again, you know, and the whole breakup thing started happening all over again, right? The hot and cold, I love you, I hate you, get out, stay with me, marry me, I don't want nothing to do with you, da-da-da-da-da. So that finally ends up, you know, that's finally been, you know, done now for almost a whole year. September, I think August or September will be a year. But we, instead of living in Florida, we ended up moving to North Carolina. That's where I ended up, you know, really starting to take my YouTube channel more serious, and I started getting like a more in-depth understanding of spiritual warfare and God. And that's when I began to share more messages, you know. And now we here. Now we here, delivered, set free, prayer warrior, you know what I mean? Alive, healthy, happy, you know, doing God's work, all for the kingdom and glory of God, man. You know, I wanted to kind of share more the aspect of why God calls you to leave your hometown, but, you know, this is just me kind of filling in some things for you guys, because I know you guys have asked in the Q&A, and I want to be as honest as I can, you know, and vulnerable. But pretty much I just trusted God, you know, throughout the whole process. He provided through various different things, whether it was little, you know, side jobs, DoorDash, Uber Eats, or he had folks that would sow to me and donate to me and send me money and help me out, you know, to get me out of California and to walk by faith and trust him. And it has been one heck of a journey, man. It's still not over with, you know, but I'm definitely at a better place than I've, you know, been in my whole life, you know. And the message is just, if you feel led, you know, and God, you feel like God's tugging on you and calling you to leave, and you don't understand how it's going to happen or how it's going to look, or if he's going to make a way or provide for you, just trust that he will. Make sure it's him telling you, and just trust that he will. He'll use others to bless you, man. You know, he'll put opportunities in your path in order to get you where he wants you to be. You know what I mean? And it's really just about learning how to trust and walk by faith. Even when everybody else, I'm telling you, when you begin to walk by faith, everybody else is going to say that you're crazy, man. Everybody else is going to doubt you. Everybody's going to say X, Y, and Z until, you know, things finally come full circle for you. And what God was saying to you actually becomes, you know, it becomes that reality. So, I don't know. Just wanted to fill you guys in, you know, give you a real and raw video. I know there's some stuff still missing. Like I said, my testimony since I was a child, since my childhood can be, you know, 14 videos that are 2 hours long, or I can write 7 books probably, from everything I've encountered. And you know, I kind of just try to sum it up as quick as I can under 30 minutes so you guys can watch this. But I love you guys. I thank you for the support. We're really going to keep rising and elevating, man. Y'all stay positive, stay happy out here, you know. Praise God. No matter what you're going through, know that he can bring you through it. You know, I've been delivered from the spirit of suicide, the spirit of addiction, you know, many things that he's delivered me from. And all I had to do was diligently seek him out. You know, I had to understand his will and his ways over my own. I had to begin to surrender and submit and listen and learn and trust and walk in faith and put my flesh into submission and show God I was serious. And the more that I did that, the more he gave me breakthrough. You're never too far gone, man. Like I said, at one point, I was cutting my wrist open, talking to the devil, potentially, possibly possessed, if not possessed, extremely oppressed. All these things I've endured and went through, man. You know, and I'm still here. You know what I mean? And I'm happier and healthier than I've ever been in my whole life. So praise God for that. I love you guys. Smash the like button. Say a prayer for your brothers out there, man. Say a prayer for your sisters, and say a prayer for yourself. If you guys want more in depth, let me know in the comments down below. I can do more videos. It's kind of hard for me to open up about all this. You know, I might have to write it down so I'm not all over the place. But if you guys want more, you know, you want to understand the more in-depth stuff that I've encountered in the battles that I faced all throughout what I laid out for you guys, I have no problem doing those videos. Just let me know in the comments. Y'all stay prayed up out here, man. Until next time, it's your boy, King Justice.